No, it's the concept.
Breaking the habit of being yourself and actually becoming more positive is exactly what we want to talk about today. And why positivity is so important. You know, I'm running into a lot of people who are actually like, you don't have to be positive. You don't have to be happy. You don't have to think good things all the time. Like life happens and you need to deal with it and be real. However, if it is true, if you believe that it's totally true that what you think and your thoughts affect your body, then maybe we need to rethink that. And we do need to think about how to always see the positive side of it. So we're Tammy and Rita. Rita, what do you think about that? Like, do you always have to be like, what's the big deal? If you're angry, be angry. If you're sad, be sad. Like, stop trying to be so positive.
I guess, what is the target? What is the big picture? What is it that you want in life? And whatever that is, that's where you want to be focused on. I think the be positive sounds kind of wishy-washy, sounds kind of foo-foo, because, there's real life out there. People are really hurt, and people got hurt and are hurting others. But as brain trainers, we know that the brain will create patterns and you will repeat it in all your relationships, in relationship with your food, in relationship with your spouse, in relationship with your boss. So that anger, that way of being that no longer serves you is actually breaking you. So either you break the habit of being that old habit, yes, or that habit's going to break you, and you're going to, that's why we have all these emotional, unintelligent moves. That's why we scream and yell, and we're like victimized, and we're just like, oh, in so much pain, and
it's happening to me. It's happening to me, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So as brain trainers, what is one thing that people can do to be able to break the patterns of being themselves, or break a habit, or break a thought? Just like interrupt that.
One of the biggest things, and you find out what works for you, but you definitely have to have your happy memory. So that's a definite, because you need to know where to go. Like once you need to interrupt it. So there's a pattern, there's the thought, okay, if you're getting angry, now you've established this is how you do it, right? You do it the same way, you know how to feel, it rises up fast. Or if you're being sad, it's the same thing. So you need to interrupt that pattern. And then once you've done that, you've got to have that happy memory.
And why is it important to interrupt it? What's happening in the brain cells?
It's a neural pathway.
And how deep does that get?
It's a groove. It gets so deep that you might meet people. Think of it as the little old bitter woman or the grumpy old man, right? How come there's so much grumpier? How come no matter what you do, they're grumpy? How come no matter what you do, she's mad at you? Because the groove got so deep that they actually don't have any other emotion, and it ends up being a trap. So now instead of you getting to choose your emotion and your brain has created a pathway so deep that it takes away your choice. Everything looks bad. Everything looks negative. Everything looks whatever you chose for so long.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it becomes such a part of you. It's your nature, right? And it's not only do we know that it's your nature, but we also know that it's part of the survival part of your brain. Your brain is supposed to look for all the possible hurts and hypervigilant of what could happen wrong, and you got to keep an eye on people and see how they're going to react, because that's how you're going to determine how you're going to feel. Those are the circumstances, and those are all breakable. They are breakable. You can stop that.
Exactly. And it's so fascinating because, if somebody is sad all the time and you're like, you can break that habit, you're probably going to come up against a lot of, like, you might be feeling defensive right now as we're talking about, like, you don't have to be angry all the time. You don't have to be sad all the time. Or, these emotions are things that you can choose. You might be feeling like this is hogwash. Like, you're not going to do that to me. You're not going to take that away. Right. But is it in line with your goals and with who you want to be in life? Is that how you want to go out? Because if your GPS isn't set on your goal and isn't set on your purpose and isn't set on your big dream, then guess what? You're never going to end up there.
Yeah. And I think, Tammy, when you say that, this is kind of where my brain goes, because we are so, that is so us, that hurt, that pain, that we know, like, how do you know it's painful? Like, what happens inside you? Because we are creating it, we are generating with the thought, the idea comes in, and then the thought, and then the brain starts sending the chemicals of fight, flight, or freeze, or anger, sadness, depression, and then your body, it's just automatic. It's just automatic. So we know to ask the right questions, like, how do you know? Where have you felt that before? And then and then you can see how it is a pattern and where you first picked it up. And then you picked it up back when you were 5, 10 years old. It's an old memory. But it kept you safe because you grew up in an environment that you needed to behave that way for you to cope with what was happening out there. But you're no longer that child. So you get to update that.
Right.
Through the memories. And what are the memories? There's 5 ways, right? Probably 6 ways to that you can hold memories.
Right.
Like that sore back, that sore shoulder, right? Physically.
Yeah.
Those pictures, those images, you're seeing something. You're imagining something. You're smelling something. You're tasting something. You're hearing something. You're hearing your mom scream and yell. And because you hear your mom scream and yell, then you go home and you yell at your wife, and then you yell at your kids because that's what you heard. And there's these crazy habits.
Yeah. And what's interesting is we call feelings, a feeling is it can be a physical sensation or an emotion. But what's interesting to me, and this was so eye-opening when somebody said, how do you do sadness? And I'm like, what do you mean? How do I do it? What does that mean? And they were like, well, if you had to tell me how to do it inside my body, what would you tell? And I was like, oh, like you'd have a lump in your throat, feel like somebody's choking you. You'd have your tears, this pressure on your eyes. Because what that explained to me is the word feeling and feeling something on your body is the same thing. These emotions are feelings because it's a physical representation inside of you. What if you can break the habit? It's your own physical sensation. Can you break the habit of your own physical sensation? Who else's is it? It's yours. I was the one imagining and feeling this lump in my throat. I was doing that. So there are all of those senses that create a program in our brain. And that program says, oh, you do this when this happens. You do this when this happens. You do this when this happens. And then that groove gets really deep. And then pretty soon that's all you can do. And that's how your brain is created.
Yeah, we're your Faster EFT women here. As Faster EFT practitioners, upper level practitioners, we've been working with our clients in groups and individually, and even through YouTube and Instagram. And we just want to bring awareness. I think if you even know that you're creating it in, that hurt, that pain by that thought or that feeling or that old emotion that's replaying, there's some power to that. Like you can break that habit of being yourself, as hard as it might feel or sound. It can be done. I've broken some habits. I've broken like the smoking habit, right? And I was able to see and sense like when it was happening. It was a whole process. It was a process. And so if you can stop it, right? What about that filter? You want to talk about the filter?
Yeah, there's so our conscious takes in through our senses, our conscious mind, and then it can move into our subconscious mind if we're not aware of what's actually going on. So if somebody gives you a look, you walk into a store, someone gives you a look and you're like, oh, they think I'm ugly, or they think I'm a bad mom or whatever. Now that is a conscious thought. You can filter that and be like, oh, let's pretend their eyes were smiling, or their teeth were, they were, or maybe they just found out that their child has pneumonia or what, you know what I mean? So now you can create it differently so that there's a filter. It doesn't go into your subconscious, which means you don't believe it.
Yeah.
If you don't believe it, then there's no reason to get all this emotional upheaval about it, right? You just
Yeah.
get
And
to
I
go
think,
back to be yourself.
yeah. And I think what you mentioned earlier, there's an internal process that happens inside our mind, body, space, or like a little space. That internal representation is how we represent the world. So that lady at the grocery store gives you that look, and you're making it mean that it's about
Exactly.
you. Like,
Right.
like the lady probably doesn't even know you're there, but we are holding something inside of us, some belief, some perspective that we deserve to have that look, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah, so you have choices, right? You have choices
Yep.
automatically right there. Okay, do I choose to make something about it, or do I, chuckle and laugh? So this is what we talk about: interrupting, because things that wire together, fire together, an emotion that fires together, wires together. So you've been wiring together this anger, this frustration. Nobody likes me. Oh, what's wrong with me? Oh my God, how am I going to do it? That you've been wiring it. So now it's time to interrupt it, to break that.
Yep.
So that's why Tammy says, go to a happy memory, go to a happy state. I love to do squats. Squatting physically broke the habit in my mind about what I was doing, saying, and thinking and feeling. So that brought me back to here. So practice those.
Yeah. Whatever's hard enough that it makes you get present is going to work. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're not there. You're not in that trance. You're not in the past. You're interrupting it. And you can set yourself free doing that kind of work. It's not to practice. I thought if I thought about it more, and if I, figured it out and, just like ruminated on it, that then I would finally get better.
Ruminate.
Oh, that was turning into a very negative life. That was turning into an awful life where I wasn't sleeping. I mean, pretty soon the ruminations just go wild, and it feels like they have a life of their own.
And to me too, they were very comforting. God, Tammy, to be sad was very comforting. To be mad, it was so like I deserved it. Like that was like I deserved to be mad. Like that was, But again, who are we hurting?
Yeah.
What kind of stress are we sending to our body? That's why we have issues. That's why we have a lot of body issues.
Right.
There's unresolved emotions. There's pent up tension. There's all these chemicals that are like running, creating havoc. That's what we're like not healthy, not sleeping well. Maybe our body, can't digest things because it's too busy surviving, or maybe it's too busy surviving so you can't gain weight. I mean, the problems and the issues are endless. So if you can do this one thing, this one thing about just start breaking the habit of being yourself. Like, that's what you would do. Tom, Dick, and Harry walks in the door, and that you're already judging, assessing, because that's what the brain does. Just know, okay, brain, I got it. I'm conscious. I'm aware. There's no need for that unconscious part of you to run the show. You can run it consciously, and you have that choice.
Exactly.
You did it when you were 5, 6, 7, 8. That just happened because that was just a natural process. But now you have the process of elimination. You can say no.
Exactly. It opens up your choices.
Technique.
Right. And the stop technique is interrupting it. Like, that is what it does for you. And the reason that it works for anything is because that's how your brain works. Okay. So people are like, how can this work for everything and anything? Because if your brain is always focusing on one emotion or one situation or the negative things in your life, which is what it's created to do, all you have to do is interrupt it, and the whole situation can change, and your situation can be totally different. But
like
it is breaking, right? It's breaking that habit, because habits are wires inside of your brain.
Unwire that, unravel that, guys, and you can do it. You can rewrite your memory, you can rewrite your story, you can rewire your brain by going to those happy memories, by interrupting. So down there is a link that you can what can they do, Tammy?
The stop technique.
Yep.
And it's going to be it's elevate yourself release stress. Those kind of things are what it does for you. And also we are doing the happy journal. So if you're thinking it's really hard to find happiness, like I don't even know how to find happiness. I don't know what to do to get it. I don't know. I don't have anything happy in my life right now. Come and let me help you find that. And let me get affirmations for you that you're going to believe and you're going to be able to take with you and change the habit of being you and create the habit of.
We're having a 2-hour workshop this Sunday with the magnificent, magical miracle maker here. You know, Tammy's the happy queen. You know, she likes to create happy. She knows where to go to help you bring that out. So come join us. It's from 6 p.m. to 8, and that's Central Time. And there'll be a link there that you can come and participate and just get into the groove, create new grooves, right?
Oh, yeah. Get into the groove. Great. Well, like, share, subscribe, click that notification so you know when we go live. Share this with your friends because there's a lot of people and you might not even know that they really are struggling right now. And you sure don't want to leave somebody out there looking for other things to get into to help deal with their
like what
with
things
their
could they
internal
get
issues.
into? What things are those? Eating, you know, or drinking or drugging or texting or Facebooking or there's a lot of other things that people could get into. So create new habits.
Self-harm things that aren't allowing them to grow into being the best version of themselves, which is what we want for you. Become the best version of you and inspire others with your story. All right. Well, we'll see you next time.